Hello and welcome to my therapy session. First things first, I promise to reveal a gift for you in my next video, so...
I got a new microphone. Today's topic is like an unsolvable jigsaw puzzle that I saw coming miles away. Because if I'd ask you to name a more iconic duo than a cancelled YouTuber and coming back to content creation, you would only be able to name Iserpesnot and lack of consistency as a strong contender for all the marbles. Everybody knows it keeps on happening, everybody understands why it's happening, and yet there is something eluding, something that's missing, and thus preventing us from seeing the whole picture of this mystical, ever-repeating process of exposed, unhinged motherfuckers coming back as shells of themselves, as if their souls were ripped apart from them as a form of punishment for what they've done. But let me stop generalizing this topic before we start to obsessively connect the dots to the point where we won't be able to stop coming up with new tinfoil hat theories like some members of cults, and instead focus on the newest big time case of such a comeback story. Cody fucking Cody. Where do I begin? Well, maybe let's start very briefly from the beginning before we get into his controversy and current endeavors. And I am emphasizing on making it quick because he is undeniably a huge part of YouTube's history. So you can imagine how much it would take to recap his entire career more thoroughly, as his main channel was created in 2014. Saying that was his humble beginning as an internet persona would be disingenuous though, as at that point he was already quite well known thanks to his Vine account he created a year earlier that amassed about 200,000 followers by that time. As a fun fact from those blissful Cody days, I'll tell you that he said the N-word in one of these videos there, and sure, you could say different times, you are looking at it from hindsight. And if you want to use that argument, then fine. I'm certainly not oblivious to it, and to some extent you definitely have a point. It's just that our friendly neighbor from around the block cell number 4 apologized about it himself. What an upstanding individual, owning up to his mistake. I'd really want more people to take an example from him. Too bad it wasn't really possible because he uploaded the apology onto his Patreon behind a paywall. This controversy is almost never talked about because, well, Cody was pretty much universally beloved back then, and only after shit hit a fan, quite literally, more people look at him from basically the opposite side of bias than before, which in turn allows us to see a bigger picture now. Back to his YouTube career though, because that was going amazingly well. He was basically becoming one of the golden standards of what both commentary and reaction videos should look like. Our man of the hour collaborated with many people, from some popular creators to people around in his life since pretty much the very beginning of his YouTube endeavors, most notably with Noel Miller, who would later on become synonymous with Cody's online career, as only a couple of years later it started to seem like you really couldn't talk about one without mentioning the other. They collaborated notoriously, had own projects with, and here I quote, this is not me roasting them, not yet at least,
Tiny Meat Gang.
that was a channel where they posted their podcast episodes. Very original, fascinating much. They had a viral meme that's used to this day. Ironically, it fits Cody quite perfectly. He amassed an audience of over 5 million people just on his main channel, and was also branching into music ever since 2017, and later on had a family of his own, a man of what could widely be described as success that many would aspire to be like, right? Especially younger people. Okay, I think you see where I'm going with this. Well, it turns out that this fountain of wisdom and wealth was tainted by fame and abuse of power by a deranged, ever sex-deprived monster who would use said status to get what he wants no matter the age of his victims. You know, normally a monster like this would be called an incubus, but in most folklores those were known to be actually capable of pleasing somebody, which allegedly isn't the case here. I wonder how Cody felt when they were discussing the Drake versus Kendrick beef on their podcast. No wonder he got drunk so quickly there. Gotta wash those sins away from your mind, eh? Or any other time they ever mentioned any predatory behavior for that matter, which seemed to never come from Cody's mouth first. It's quite hysterical to look at this from hindsight. Anyway,
Tana Mongeau.
who's known as quite the controversial figure, many months ago has accused the tiny mid-gang's face of sleeping with her when she was 17, and they have an 8-year age gap. Everybody dismissed it back then because, as I said, Tana was quite well known to be what we call a
cloud chaser.
while Cody was well respected in the industry. Couple years have passed since then and more people start to look into it, with yet another controversial figure, Trisha Paytas, telling a story where
Gabby Hanna.
told him that Tana was underage after she saw him clinging to her at an event for creators they attended together. After another somehow controversial YouTuber, a commentary one, D'Angelo Wallace, made a video exposing this allegation to the world. This situation told us a lot of things. Showed us how, for example, many people won't believe victims if they aren't liked by public simply for the reason of them being controversial. But we won't get into any of that. Cody is confirmed to be a disgusting individual that preyed on a much younger, vulnerable girl, and I hope I don't have to tell you how unhinged and unforgettable that is. He's fucking gross. I just can't spin it in any other way. The last episode of their podcast Cody was a part of is called The Final Firework, and it was aired right before the controversy resurfaced for good, which is just perfection. And afterwards, the TMG studio confirmed that Cody is, and here I quote again,
Stepping down from the channel.
which, if you are not familiar with corporate talk, roughly translates to please don't leave us. We'll get rid of the fuck you don't like. Just don't associate us with that and keep giving us money, okay? And apparently he did more than that, seeing as he stopped uploading videos altogether, even on his individual channels. What a loss. All while being seen and recorded doing a DJ gig, having the time of his life next to a partner he cheated on with a 17-year-old. I would call him a family man, but I don't want it to come off as a really appropriate joke though. Months have passed and Cody's reputation has officially hit rock bottom, with him completely running away from taking any responsibility or at least hitting a mean solo on ukulele as a line of defense. I don't know, do something, dude. So he has pretty much gained the legendary effect of being cancelled. Surprise, surprise though, because just recently he came back with an apology video in which you wouldn't believe it. He literally addresses nothing. I kid you not. He was thinking for over half a year what to say, and he came up with,
So, I'm back to making videos. Hey, we'll begin a video marathon starting from March. Who's up for it? Hands up! Back on the grind, you know how it be. Fist bump?
and that's pretty standard when it comes to creators getting wrapped up in these kinds of controversies. But you know what's also somehow a standard? The fact that a lot, and I do mean a lot, of comments are positive and supportive after hearing something like this. So as I just said, basically nothing towards somebody exposed as a fucking predatory sex pest. Remember how I mentioned that Patreon apology from before? Well, you gotta give credit where credit's due. Obviously, he's absolutely fucking horrible and I'd never defend him, but at least he learned something from the past and... Oh, for fuck's sake, the video is already deleted from the channel. Yes, ever since posting that video, Cody has run away to his second channel, and after receiving a lot of support in his quickly deleted video, he continues to make similar content as before. with moderate success that may not be comparable to the numbers he did before, but are still very much great, and he still has devoted to him audience. There are viewers who simply don't know about the drama, and that's absolutely okay. Not everybody is tuned into this stuff because they don't spend that much time on the platform in the first place. That's part of the thing that I'm here for providing this kind of information.
God, I feel dirty self-promoting like that. Subscribe, okay?
So again, that situation is understandable. What is not understandable, however, is how many of the viewers not only know and don't care, which you could argue they simply detach the creator from what they create, but also parasocially stand by him. I want to make something perfectly clear. This video, despite the entire setup that we just went through, is not really about Cody Co. It's about a moral dilemma. It's about the existing only in our minds,
cancel culture,
and it's about people's indifference towards online celebrities' action. Look at other such cases like Dr. Disrespect, who had a very similar type of drama around the same time Cody did. It's frankly the same process, like they're looking in the mirror. It's insane. Online content creation and streaming is still quite a new venue, and the creators themselves are also usually way more independent than, let's say, a Hollywood star. So if they get exposed for something horrible, they can still keep doing their thing alone, even if nobody invites them to any creator parties with kids in them ever again. And because of that more intimate, as terrifying as that sounds in those cases, connection they form with their audience, and because it's way tougher for people to take real life crime seriously over the internet, there will always be a crowd willing to support these kinds of weirdos here. And on one hand, we do want the freedom of speech to be in place, but how far can it really go? And what kind of environment we could possibly see here in even couple of years because of it? It already seems like so many YouTubers are using their audiences in many ways, really. And the predatory problem itself is rooted deeply within more or less the beginning of this platform. So how far can we go before it becomes a problem that cannot be solved when this kind of freedom is present? And if they did start to enforce more restrictions and actual,
cancellation rules,
then why would the innocent have to suffer because of a percentage of Cody Cos and his lookalike? I really don't have answers to those questions. I just wanted to make you more aware of the fact that him and any other creator like this coming back isn't simply a black and white kind of case, and
you should simply get the fuck out of here.
it's something that will only become more of a topic of discussion as time goes by, because it's already becoming more of a problem day by day as we speak. Not just on YouTube, but on any social media platform. Two things I know for sure are: one, people like Cody Co deserve punishment by law, and two, his supporters are fucking weird. I'm sorry if you're one of them, but what the fuck are you doing? If you just enjoy his content, then that's morally ambiguous and somewhat colorless, sure. But why would you provide him fist bumps and visits to the Cupcake Factory by publicly supporting this man is just beyond me. I'm not putting you in any kind of gray area, so too bad. I'm not actually sorry, I lied. Coming back to Cody for a moment, even though I just said it's not really about him, his current content sucks major ass. It's insanely awkward because he himself clearly is awkward around the camera after everything that happened and after the break he was forced to take. It feels, as I said in the beginning, soulless. And I saw that happening a bunch of times at this point. Look at Colin Ballinger, for example. Very similar case again, and both of their newest videos look as if somebody ripped their characters apart from their bodies. It's even more prevalent here, considering that Cody does a really dumb thing by reacting to the same things he reacted to during his glory days. So the parallel is more obvious as a result. It's just not charismatic, I'm sorry. It's obviously the most subjective part of this video. But if Cody didn't have a brand and was just a starting creator with content same as what he makes now, then I don't think anybody would ever care about him at all. I don't like to come off as a hater in this section, because believe me, I'm a
I don't like
hater in
anything
all
about
the
Drake.
other ones. But the video quality drop-off needs to be studied using data of all the exposed predators and weirdos alike. Speaking of Colin Ballinger, I have a video on recapping her entire YouTube career. A lot of similarities can be seen there. So if you haven't, you can go watch it right now and have some more fun laughing at the expense of another offender. Or you can watch my video about Adam22, who was involved in a pump and dump crypto scheme, and I low-key kinda predicted it like a year ago. So crazy. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next session.